Hello, welcome. My name is Daniel Pasco Aguilar, founding director of the Center for Social Justice and chief diversity officer at Excelsior University. Excelsior University, the Center for Social Justice, and the Women's and the Race and Ethnicity Rope teams welcome you to our celebration of this year's Women's History Month with Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman II. For those of you who are not acquainted with Excelsior's rope teams, we have 11, soon to be 16, communities we call rope teams, and which we describe as representation and support villages around our students based on the dimensions of identity that matter to them and to allies. If you want to learn more about our rope teams or how to engage with them, you can visit them at communities.excelsior.edu, or you can contact the Center for Social Justice for more information. I would like, before we introduce Women's History Month and our amazing speaker today, Dr. Tillman, I want to thank a number of people and units who made today's event possible, starting with Connor, Stacy, Jason, and Erin from Communications, Maria, Courtney, and Nyla from Marketing, Jamie and Mackenzie from Development, Excelsior's Cabinet, and Jill and Lori from the President's Office. I also want to thank Alfred in the support that he's given to Dr. Tillman throughout the process. And of course, we'll thank more formally Dr. Tillman in a second. Thank you so much for your amazing partnership and support to make today happen. Today's premiere will be interactive, so we encourage your participation throughout our session. Please share your questions, your comments, your insights in the YouTube chat space during Dr. Tillman's keynote and the follow-up fire chat conversation. Connor, Dr. Tillman, and I will be interacting in the chat throughout the event. Welcome to Women's History Month. Each March, we honor the countless women whose leadership, creativity, and courage have shaped our nation, often without the recognition they deserve. This annual observance began in 1978 through a grassroots effort in Sonoma County, California, where educators sought to address the absence of women's stories in school curricula. The movement swiftly grew, inspiring President Jimmy Carter's 1980 proclamation of the first National Women's History Week. And by 1987, Congress expanded the observance to the full month of March, calling the nation to reflect on women's contributions and to recommit to gender equity. This year's national theme, Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, highlights the indispensable role women play in reimagining systems to address the world's most pressing challenges, from climate change and economic inequity to community resilience and educational access. Women's leadership in environmental advocacy, in policy innovation, in community organizing, in financial reform, in education, demonstrates how deeply women contribute to building long-term environmental, economic, and social sustainability. Yet, even as we celebrate progress, we acknowledge the ongoing inequities women face. Women working full-time year-round continue to earn about 83 cents of every dollar earned by men, with even wider gaps for Black, Hispanic, and Native American women. They hold just over 31% of executive and senior leadership roles nationally, and although women own roughly 42% of U.S. businesses, they receive less than 2% of annual venture capital funding, barriers that continue to limit advancement and innovation. Women navigate persistent disparities in health and well-being, shaped by caregiving demands, discrimination, trauma exposure, and inequitable access to mental health resources. These challenges remind us that sustainability is not only environmental. It is also about building systems that nurture human flourishing across generations. Women have long been architects of such systems. This month, we honor women whose vision and perseverance have expanded opportunity for millions. We recognize their resilience, advocacy, innovation, and commitment to justice. And we celebrate emerging leaders like Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman II, whose work exemplifies creativity, compassion, and the power of leading the change today. And now, I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman II, founder and CEO of the Dorothyjeanius Team Leadership Institute, and one of the most widely recognized young leaders in STEAM, behavioral health, and youth empowerment. A child prodigy whose academic journey began at age 10, she completed her associate degree shortly after enrolling in college-level courses, and then continued her accelerated path through programs at Stanford University Continuing Studies and Brigham Young University Distance Learning. Dr. Tillman is an Excelsior University alumna. I'm so excited to say that. And she earned her Bachelor of Science in Humanities from Excelsior University, back then Excelsior College, in 2018. And she continued her education through a Master's of Science from Unity College in 2020, distinguishing herself as the youngest environmental and sustainable scientist in the United States. In 2023, she completed her Doctor of Behavioral Health at Arizona State University at age 17. Dr. Tillman is an accomplished public speaker, known for her engaging presence and ability to inspire diverse audiences. She delivered the outstanding graduate student address for Arizona State University's College of Health Solutions in 2024 before an audience of more than 20,000 in person and 3 million online. She has served as keynote speaker for the 2024 Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration in Aurora, Illinois, the 2024 commencement at the College of Lake County, and numerous national conferences, educational events, and leadership fora. Her remarkable achievements have captured international media attention with features in major outlets including the New York Times, Good Morning America, the Associated Press, People, Essence, Black Enterprise, and the Chicago Tribune. In 2025, she made history as the youngest member ever inducted into the Delta Sigma Chicago alumni chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. Through the Dorothyjeanius STEAM Leadership Institute, Dr. Tillman launched STEAM labs in Chicago and in West Cape Town, South Africa, empowering young people to see themselves as capable leaders today. In 2022, she was honored with the title Ankobea Ama Akufo by His Royal Majesty Osedeo Kwasi Akufo III in Ghana, recognizing her as a STEAM education advisor for youth. Dr. Tillman has earned numerous awards, including the 2026 MLK Junior Community Youth Influencer Award and the 2025 Ever Upward Award at Excelsior University. Beyond her professional accomplishments, she's an author, dancer, actor, artist, world traveler, and self-described social butterfly. I love that. Her forthcoming book, The Grass is Greener Where You Water It, will be released in 2026. I can't wait. Known affectionately as Dorothyjeanius, or DJ, she lives by the motto, leading by examples of excellence. Dr. Tillman, we are more than honored to have you with us today. Thank you for your ongoing engagement and investment with your alma mater, Excelsior University, and for sharing your story and insight with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Happier to be here than I. So I'll go ahead and hello, everyone. Pleasure to join you today. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Excelsior University and the Center for Social Justice for hosting this event and for your unwavering commitment to education and social equity. As we celebrate Women's History Month under the theme, Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, I'm reminded of the incredible contributions of Excelsior alumni, ranging from military leaders to innovators in health and wellness who paved the way for us and the future generations of women. I am proud to stand among these remarkable women who have not only broken barriers, but have also dedicated their lives to positive change in our communities. Their resilience and commitment inspire me to continue my own work in empowering youth and advocating for social justice. Today, I'm thrilled to share my journey from being known as Dorothyjeanius almost 10 years ago to Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman II at age 17. As the namesake of my grandmother, civil rights activist Dorothy Wright Tillman, who bravely stood on the Miss Pettus Bridge during Bloody Sunday, I aim to inspire you to find and use your own voice in making impactful changes in your community. I was deeply honored to receive the Ever Upward Award from Excelsior University. This recognition not only celebrated my achievements, but also underscored the invaluable support this institution provided me since I first became a part of its vibrant community. From my early days as a student, Excelsior nurtured my growth and encouraged me to push boundaries, ensuring that I had the tools and resources to succeed. Receiving that award served as a powerful reminder of the ongoing journey we shared in our pursuit of excellence. It reflected our collective commitment to uplifting one another and creating lasting change within our communities. I was profoundly grateful for the encouragement and mentorship that shaped my path, reminding me that true leadership involved not only personal achievement, but also the responsibility to uplift others. So sharing my story today is an opportunity to pay it forward for me as an alumni. The academic journey began at a very young age for me. At just 10 years old, I enrolled as a college freshman at the College of Lake County. The experience was both intimidating and exhilarating, surrounded by students much older than me. However, it taught me that education is not merely a means to an end. It is a powerful tool for transformation and empowerment. By the age of 17, I earned my doctoral degree in integrated behavioral health from Arizona State University. Through this journey, I discovered that leadership comes not from age, but from the mindset and commitment to lead with intention and purpose. As the beloved American author Maya Angelou once said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude. This is a reminder that emphasizes that we possess the ability to influence our paths to fulfill our aspirations. The pandemic of 2020 was a turning point for many, myself included. While I was completing my master's program, I had a unique opportunity to travel to South Africa with my mom. And during this trip, I met young girls who reminded me of myself, held up a mirror, navigating challenges similar to those I had faced back home. And this ignited my passion for creating the Dorothy Jean Tillman Leadership Institute. Unfortunately, I couldn't launch the camp in South Africa as I had wanted due to the pandemic. However, I pivoted and brought it to the United States that summer, employing 15 teens ages 16 to 19 and working with 20 youth ages 5 to 14 to help develop their social, emotional, and leadership skills. To do this, we had to create COVID-safe protocols requiring real-world application of the subjects that I studied in pursuit of my degrees, making sure we didn't leave the girls that inspired this all behind, still putting together STEAM kits to send over to them so that they could follow along with all the things that we would do at the camp. It was a challenge, particularly because I was younger than most of my leadership team, and there were moments when others attempted to undermine my authority, leading me to question whether or not I was cut out for it or whether or not it was all worth it. But I persevered, trusting in my ability to design programs that made a difference. I found strength not only in my education, but also in my faith and spirit, which guided me through these tough moments. Throughout my journey, I had to confront the expectations placed on me by the outside world. Sometimes, despite my accomplishments, I feel as if what I've done just isn't enough, and I'm sure many of you can relate. I have moments when I question my purpose and I wonder if I will ever feel fully satisfied or content or complete. And this is me at just 19. We all feel like we're running out of time, and we're not. I have family, cousins close in age to me, and while I've been on my academic journey and started my own company, I found that not everyone has been as supportive as I would have liked. This has strained our relationships, creating an ongoing struggle that I'm learning to navigate. Releasing these feelings can be tough, but it's a necessary part of my growth. While I often discuss the world's expectations of me, I must also remind myself of my expectations of others. It's important to recognize that everyone's journey is different, a reminder that extends to friendships, relationships, and romantic connections. Not everyone has been raised with the same values or experiences, like the importance of having a passport or being financially literate or just treating one another with kindness. And that's important to remember everywhere you go. Amidst all of these changes and challenges, I prioritize my mental health. Through technology, I engage in telehealth sessions with my incredible therapist, and this has been a vital part in helping me manage the ups and downs of my life. Pursuing doctoral studies, regardless of age, is hard work, especially at a significant institution like ASU. Add that to the typical pressures of transitioning from preteen to young adult, such as worrying about social events or grappling with online critiques, and you'll understand why access to mental wellness services for students is so important to me personally and professionally. Globally, near 2/3 of individuals with mental illness do not receive treatment. Many college students report mental health concerns, yet only about 1/3 with psychological disorders receive the assistance they need. The significant barrier is a lack of awareness about available resources. Approximately 1/3 of college students don't even know that counseling services exist, especially on their campus. This scenario underscores the crucial role of leadership within the Center of Social Justice. It's vital to create a culture of wellness that permeates every level of the organization. Students are perceptive and they pick up on the energy and the vibes of their leaders. Therefore, there should be no separation in the importance of care. As we discuss growth, it is also essential to explore the concept of neuroplasticity, the brain's lifelong ability to reorganize its structure and functions in response to learning and experiences. Neuroplasticity is fundamental to how we can adapt to new information and recover from challenges. The brain continuously rewires itself based on experience, summarizing this principle as what you practice, you become. When learning a new skill, neurons form new connections, and with repeated practice, these pathways strengthen, known as long-term potentiation. For example, when we focus on an area of study, the act of reinforcing our knowledge creates strong associations in the brain. However, neglecting those pathways leads to disuse and eventually weakness. The implications are profound for both personal development and community leadership. By embracing new experiences and challenging ourselves, we develop important qualities such as resilience and adaptability, qualities essential for effective leadership. In our ever-evolving world, it is important to understand that we can continually reshape our thoughts, actions, and pathways. The beauty of neuroplasticity empowers us to learn, expand, and recover regardless of our past. As part of my work towards earning my doctorate in integrated behavioral health from Arizona State University, I designed an intervention called the SOEP, the Student Outreach and Education Project, specifically for student-focused wellness initiatives. Here are some actionable steps that students at the Center for Social Justice with support from staff and faculty can possibly implement. 1. A social media campaign. Collaborating with the manager of the social media accounts for the Center for Social Justice, using platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to create a campaign that grabs students and informs them about available services and reduces the stigma around seeking help to begin with. Developing engaging posts that include tips, resources, event announcements, and success stories, because it's always important to have positive reinforcement. 2. High traffic engagement. Identify areas on campus where students like to frequently gather, like student centers, libraries, cafeterias, and residence halls, and leverage these spaces for student engagement and opportunities. Place information and resources where they are easily accessible. 3. Collaborate with student organizations. Work with various student organizations, academic departments, and local wellness professionals to create a diverse range of events that promote mental wellness. Or event promotion. Use social media, campus-wide email newsletters, and posters and flyers to promote events and generate excitement around mental wellness initiatives. A lot of people have lost the art of a simple flyer, but oftentimes it really can grab a person. By implementing these strategies, we can achieve several positive outcomes. Increased awareness and understanding of mental health, which can reduce stigma and create a more supportive environment. Improve student-faculty relationships through opportunities for interaction outside traditional settings. Enhance academic performance, as addressing mental health promotes overall well-being. Increased utilization of campus resources, enhancing the well-being of the campus community. Development of essential leadership skills, communication skills throughout outreach initiatives. And lastly, a positive impact on campus culture and all, creating a nurturing environment. However, we must also address the stigma surrounding mental health specifically. Some harmful effects of stigma can include reluctance to seek help, lack of understanding from family and friends, and reduced opportunities for social engagement. So here are some steps to cope with stigma. 1, get treatment. Don't let fear of being labeled prevent you from seeking help. Treatment can provide such relief and clarity. 2, avoid self-doubt and shame. Remember, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. Educate yourself and connect with others who share similar experiences. Don't isolate yourself. Reach out to trusted individuals for support. Don't equate yourself with your illness. Use language that separates your identity from your condition. For example, say, I have bipolar disorder, instead of I'm bipolar. Join a support group. Local and national organizations can offer resources and community. Get help at school. Remember that educators are legally obligated to accommodate students with mental health concerns, so don't hesitate to reach out for support or accommodations. And lastly, speak out against stigma. Use your voice to educate others and instill courage in those facing similar challenges. Judgment often stems from a lack of understanding. By accepting your condition, seeking support, and educating others, you can help create a more compassionate environment. As I conclude, I urge each of you to remember that your journey is unique and your voice matters. Embrace the challenges, seek help when you need it, and never underestimate the power of connection, community, and faith. Faith is taking the first steps even when you don't see the whole staircase. This quote by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. captures the essence of both leadership and belief in oneself and the world around them. Thank you for allowing me to share my story today. Let's continue to support one another on this incredible journey of growth and discovery. Now, as we wrap up, I encourage you to reflect on how you can apply these lessons in your own lives. Let's continue the dialogue and support one another as we shape a brighter, more equitable future. Thank you.
Dr. Tillman, what an honor to listen to you and to hear and learn from your insight, your journey. And I personally love your investment in helping your ecosystem grow and do better, right? Because you've accomplished so much. It could have been that you just took every advantage that you had, right? And developed and developed and developed. But all along the way, you have and continue to leave a mark on how to enhance your community, develop the people around you. I love that. SOEP. I love that, right? And how important it is, because very often systems seem to be designed expecting people just to come to whatever is made available. And there's a lot of hand-holding, and there's a lot of diversity in the journeys of people, right? The experience of a first-generation student versus someone who has had generations before them going to college, right, can be very different in even being aware of what's available. And I love your focus on overcoming stigma, because I think we all can identify, right? There are challenges we're facing, and it's very important to overcome those and support those around us to do so as well. And I love your focus on faith, because it's often that we forget that spirituality is key, right? For our growth, our development, our resilience, our ability to reach our potential.
It's important to believe.
Absolutely. All right. So I have a few questions for you, Dr. Tillman, and I'm very excited about your focus and what your thoughts and insight in response to these questions might be. But I really want this to be a conversation, so make them your own, right? Bounce back with a different question, or if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to engage as well. But I really want this to be a dialogue.
Yes.
So you emphasize that leadership isn't something to wait for. And I love that. I love that, because it's so often something that's put on the back burner. When I become a leader, when I accomplish this, I'll do X. That we should see ourselves as leaders today, not tomorrow. What practices, habits, or mindsets help you, Dr. Tillman, stay grounded, innovative, and committed to your mission as you continue building your career and expanding your impact?
I think what helps me stay grounded is having specific focuses. There is always going to be so much going on in the world, such a big world, so many people. And I think that people could end up in this functional freeze. And I know I've ended up in this functional freeze trying to figure out, what do I focus on? What do I give my energy to? And while also simultaneously thinking, I'm not doing enough if I only pick one thing. And I just kind of had to work that muscle out and get that kink out of my neck of feeling like focusing on one thing is a bad thing. Because oftentimes, no matter what you're doing in life, if you're cooking, sometimes it's better to just cook one thing at a time. You're trying to make the rice and make the vegetables. You're going to burn something, maybe, possibly. We can multitask. We can start adding in multiple things. Okay, this is almost done. I can move on to the next part of the meal. This is almost done. I can move on to the next thing. But I think taking things in small strides is how I keep from getting overwhelmed in how I take on my leadership. Say if I'm dealing with something within the camp and there's a group of counselors and they're arguing, but also the kids need something to do, but also we need to clean up lunch. Okay, so let me make sure, who on the team is best with the kids, who can keep their attention for the longest with a simple activity? Okay, let me deal with that first. Okay, somebody can be assigned to do certain things. That's why I think having a team is so important. And having resources and having support and creating a village is so important, because it is hard to juggle things on your own. So I think a big way that I don't get overwhelmed is by cultivating safe and supportive teams that can help, but by also in knowing how to delegate to the correct people, but by also knowing and reminding myself that I'm not doing less than enough because I'm focusing on one thing. If anything, I'm showing more care to that thing by giving it my undivided focus.
I love that. Yeah, I think we all can identify with the overwhelming nature of everything that's coming to us, right? And all our jobs are challenging in some way, but in addition, you have things happening at a social political level, at an international level, that is often disturbing, right? In terms of how do I manage this, and how do I take this in, and how much of a threat it is right now. So I really like that idea of compartmentalization, of sequencing that will help. And I can only imagine how important that has been in your development with everything you have accomplished.
Very much
So
so.
as the founder of the Dorothyjeanius Team Leadership Institute, you built an organization rooted in empowering young people. So I think it's just wonderful. What have been the greatest opportunities and challenges you faced as a young woman entrepreneur? And what advice do you have for other women and members of underrepresented groups pursuing business ownership?
I think that some of the challenges I've faced have been truthfully internal. Like there are external challenges, of course, being undermined and different things that people have heard before. But I think something as a woman CEO that people may be scared to talk about at times is the emotional effect and draining drainage that sometimes having such a high position can take. Being a naturally emotional being, a nurturing being, and wanting to take care of certain things here and there, it can become very stressful. I can become very full of everybody's energy, needing to make sure everybody's good and everybody's taken care of, and I'm doing enough, and that I'm in the right position. I'm doing everything I can. And I think that to deal with that, I use my mental health help tools. I use tools like, okay, it's important to feel what I'm feeling. I have to go through to get over, to get through. But it's also important to remember what is the truth here of the situation so that I'm not cycling, so I'm not ruminating, so I'm not keeping myself in the same cycles of I'm not enough. We're always going to have new things that are coming into our minds, stressing us out. And I think how you can recognize growth within yourself is when those problems don't lead you into the same cycles that you're used to of not feeling good about yourself. I think that it's easy to have emotional flooding, which is a real physical term and a thing that we all experience. It's when your prefrontal cortex is flooded with so many emotions that you can't really see certain situations as logically as you normally would be able to. And you're just feeling things that lead you in that cycle type of thinking that you can't really get out of. And I think it's important to recognize it when you see yourself going there and to have one trusted place you can go. Whether that is a faith place, whether that is talking to the universe, talking to your God, talking to the world around you, to the trees, whether it's that or being able to be lucky enough to find a person who could communicate back and forth with you to ground you. Because I think it is important to have friends for that reason. And it is important to have a counselor that you actually trust and feel like you can be human with. And it's not just a give or take, so that there's somebody else who's outside of your head who got to push you off of that track, who could push you off of that cycle, because sometimes it is hard to get ourselves out of there on our own. Yes, it's important to see it, notice it, and try and stop it in its tracks. But when we can't do that, what do we do, right? I say that you talk to a friend, you talk to a person who sees you in a way that you can't see yourself in that moment. If that answers the question.
Wow, very powerfully. This is wonderful, and you're helping me, at least me, see the opportunity to get out of cycles as the growth process, right? And I think sometimes we're afraid of change without realizing that remaining in the cycle is the problem.
Yeah, there's that
Right?
evil statement that I know we've all heard from like the worst person we've ever met. Like, this is just who I am. This is just who I am. This is who I'm gonna be. Is that who you have to be? Is that who you want to be? Let us know, because it's not who you have to be. It's never who you have to be. It's never what you have to do. And that's that neuroplasticity. You can change whatever those neural pathways are that is leading you to that place that you're always going back to.
And the power of community, right? You were mentioning reach out to those you trust and with whom you feel that you can be yourself. And that's why we build the rope teams, because it's this concept that you're held by a rope, and if you fall, you're held by others. If they fall, you hold them, right? And gosh, at this moment, we really need that. I fall often, and I benefit from those who hold me, and that's a powerful thing. Now, forgive me for the next question. It's a little long, and it could sound a little selfish, but we're so excited to have you, and we're so proud to be collaborating with you, Dr. Tillman. So you have been celebrated globally for your academic achievements. So why did you choose Excelsior University? Right, that's a big question that we're really curious about. And then there are a couple of additional follow-ups. So how has your Excelsior education prepared you for your journey? Right, what impact has it had? And what advice would you give current or future Excelsior students, those who are thinking, should I, and those who are engaged right now. And then one last thing, and sorry again for the length of the question, but we would also love to hear why staying connected as an alumna is important to you, and how Excelsior continues to impact your life.
Okay, I'm gonna sit up in my chair for this one. I've been taking my ginkgo biloba, but my brain is still like a goldfish, so I'm probably gonna need to jump back in for a reminder on some of the points. But why Excelsior for me is, to be honest, I trust my mom. And when she presented me with this school, everything is looking like right here, we're going on this virtual path, and it's seeming like they have very, at that time in 2018, streamlined online process when that wasn't as big of a thing at the time. And with that being something that I was interested in, that I was already partially on the path of, that was why Excelsior for me at the time. And then I think continuing on, Excelsior instilled in me the importance of having a college whose staff is supportive, whose staff is there for you and does everything that they say that they're going to do, has somebody who's picking up the phones when you call, has somebody who is, they make you want to come back, and they acknowledge you for the things that you've done, and it's just a kind communication. It's a good energy. It feels good to interact with the people at Excelsior. And so I think that is what I took for Excelsior. And I think being an alumni, and it is so beautiful to watch the school grow to a point where they're able to have more students and provide for more students and have more programmings and more different add-ons and different things like that, affiliates. And I think that I feel lucky to be an alumni of this school. I want to be a part of what goes on here and how things grow here. I think it's important to see a field that has buddings of grass and flowers and want to invest in it and want to water it and want to sprinkle some miracle grow. I see a beautiful, vast field of something, so many, and we're the bunnies. All of the students and alumni were just hopping around, all joyous, and I want to also be the farmer and also water it and also seed it and be a part of that. To have such a large entity, such a large institution, make me feel special as a singular student. It's so important to that those are the positive cycles that it's important to add to. And is there any parts of the question that I missed? Oh, come off mute.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's powerful. And so when you think of students, right, you might have a student who's thinking, should I engage with Excelsior, or a student who's already enrolled? And is there any advice that you would give them in terms of how to be successful? And then also, what does it mean to you to be an alumna and to engage as an alumna in your alma mater?
I see any students that are currently going that may have moments of stress within school, may have moments of wanting to quit and things like that. It's emphasizing the fact that the staff and the leadership are helpful and that they're there to help you. Rely on those places and on those spaces and on those people and on those different routes. Because at the end of the day, I know that Excelsior is doing their very best to have all the people in their different facilities, in their different roles, doing the best at their ability of their job. And when you rely on those things, you see that and you notice that. And I think when you don't lean into those resources that are there for you, it's easy to be I don't know if I'm supported here. And the only way to find out is to see. And I think in terms of students that may be interested, that may be looking, don't you want to be a part of this? Don't you want to be cool like me? I want to Excelsior. I think that, of course, it's important to surveil your options, but I think at the end of the day, Excelsior is going to be the best one. I don't know, I think that it's so important to have teachers who care, to have professors who care, to have leadership who cares, and Excelsior cares. And so I think it's important to take a look and see if they have programming and they have things that interest you, because I'm sure that they probably do. And I think that doesn't just stop at finishing. it continues on into being an alumni and having support and being able to do things like this, being able to work with leadership at your alma mater. And, I don't know, it feels like when you go and you visit the kindergartners at your old school, but the kindergartner is your younger self who was once at this school, who was once, learning and on their own journey and seeing all the different things about this school. If not for anything else, it's important to be an alumni who's active, to see somebody who's like you and to pay it forward for them and with whatever advice and wisdom that you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful. And again, we're really honored to have you as an alumna of Excelsior. So your doctoral research explored mental health stigma among college-age students, as you were bringing up in your presentation. How do you see mental health playing a role in personal development, community leadership, and sustainable economic growth?
So I think so many things about this. I think when you aren't getting mental health help, it holds you back from so many of the things that you could be, because you're seeing yourself through this lens of moment to moment. It's like living paycheck to paycheck with your emotions of like, well, I'm going to deal with what comes as it comes and just kind of organize it that way instead of maybe budgeting, maybe making a plan for how do I want to compartmentalize? Where do I want to put these certain things? Like, it's so important to be able to see certain things before they are coming at you, before they're right in front of your face, and to try and educate yourself on certain things without scaring yourself. I think that when you are educating yourself on a lot of certain things when it comes to mental health, it can get scary and it can get overwhelming. But I think it's just important to remember, even if you are something on the list, even if you do get a high score on the PHQ-9, like you're still you. You're still all the things that encompass you as a person. You're not boiled down to just a mental illness. And I think that being aware of that enough to communicate that to other people, when you're having conversations with your friends or with your staff or whoever you're working with, it's important to know that. For me personally, when I'm working, we lead with emotional understanding. If a student comes in and they're having a bad day and they're upset, we're going to sit and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to have a conversation about if they don't want to have a conversation about it and why that may be, whatever it is. If it's a counselor, if it's a team member, whatever it may be, we're going to start at the root cause of the problem. Because a lot of the times, the things that we're experiencing, they come from somewhere. They started from somewhere. And we need to not have a fear of facing those things. Because to move forward, we have to face what we once experienced. To be a leader, we have to know ourselves, because it's easy to get triggered when a person is holding up a mirror to you. And it sounds like a simple topic. It sounds like, so I don't know if someone's holding a mirror to me. I know myself. I don't know if I see something that's like, oh, I do that, whatever. But oftentimes we really don't know. Sometimes there will be something that is deeply upsetting us, and we will not understand that it's because it is simply holding up a mirror. For example, I've had experiences recently where I've had a friend who was avoidant, who didn't want to have conversations, who didn't want to work through things. I have another friend who's really anxious consistently without, doing anything kind of about it, about the things going on in the world around it. And both of those situations were upsetting me very deeply. Two very different situations, one about being very emotional, one about having a lack thereof. But I was able to work with my counselor and to work through my emotions in journaling and speaking to God and realizing that I'm just upset. Both of those things are holding up a mirror to me. At times I'm avoidant and I don't like how that feels when it comes back to me. And at times I'm anxious and I don't know how to live within a world with such a level of anxiety. So it's like, I don't know how she's doing that. And those are those mirrors that are held up that we have to be able to face so that we're able to interact with people from a friendship standpoint, from a coworker standpoint, a leadership standpoint, a relationship standpoint. It's so important to see yourself. And that is the deeper situation when it comes to stigma, is seeing yourself and caring about what people think. People easily be like, I don't care about what people think. I don't care about that. And they won't realize that the reason that they're scared to get therapy or to tell somebody else about their educated professional about their comings and goings and about what's going on in their life is because of that fear of being truly seen or someone, knowing you and understanding you. And so I feel like there are so many situations in life where having gotten mental health help makes you a better person, a better leader, a better friend, a better caregiver, all around. Did I answer the question, or did I answer what I wanted to answer?
Absolutely. No, I think that image of the mirror is really powerful, because sometimes it's scary in the sense that we think we're going to see something that's out there, right? Something that I'm not ready for, but it's really looking at ourselves. And I have found, at least in my experience, that going through that inquiry process is redemptive. It opens up, right, the opportunity to be oneself and to see oneself for who one is, and then grow. And it's also wonderful when one can support someone else through that process. Thank you. No, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing. Let me transition to Women's History Month. The 2026 theme highlights the role of women in shaping a sustainable future. In your view, Dr. Tillman, how can young women and leaders in general contribute to sustainability? And not only in environmental terms, but also in economic, educational, and community contexts.
Well, I love this question because I personally have been on a journey that is very highly valued to me of femininity and softness over the past 2 to 3 years. And I think that the reason why it's been such a long journey for me is because, as far as my understanding, a lot of societal constructs around femininity have to do with whiteness and skinniness and things that a lot of women don't fit the mold of. And I think it's important, everything that was said within the last question and understood in the last question, of knowing oneself and not being scared to understand yourself, are so important in that journey of women within leadership and sustainability. And I think it does start with, manners and understanding ourselves and understanding ways to use our femininity as power, and not letting anything that was set in place by patriarchal constructs to hurt us be in our subconscious permeating. I think it's super easy when it comes to racial constructs and misogynistic constructs to have those things planted and growing like a small little weed in the back of our mind without really realizing. So I think it's important to do real research on certain things that women have fought for. A lot of the things that you talked about in your intro today that a lot of women don't even know themselves. I think it's important to know where we've come from to be able to picture where we're going and to see what certain things may be set up as tripwires and things like that unintentionally. I mean, when it comes to the patriarchy, people could have put up tripwires so long ago that they aren't even thinking about tripping anybody up or worrying about anybody. And it may suck that we have to look out for those ourselves, but we do. And I have a mentor who heavily emphasizes the importance of just double checking, making sure your schedule is all figured out. Okay, we said 8:45 today. Okay, and are we still good for 8:45? Are things gonna, are we still gonna do this? Is this still gonna happen? It isn't being naggy. It isn't bothering anybody. It is making sure you have the structure, that you're on the same page with somebody, because if you can avoid a misunderstanding, do avoid the misunderstanding. If you can communicate, if you can be on the same page, if you can clearly go through guidelines of something, do those things. If you can have protocols and have certain rules for yourself in different areas in life, have those things, have that structure, because power lies within it. You're not bound to it. You don't have to live by, it's not law. You still determine what you do and don't get to do. But at the end of the day, it's still important to understand what your moral code is, what the structures of your life are going to be. Like, you have to set out and take the time to understand and see, like, what am I going to be? What is this going to be for me? What archetype of woman do I want to be? And not to obsess or to overly plan or to put yourself in a box, but to give yourself a path and guidance and point in the future that you're looking towards, or a version of yourself that when you walk into rooms, this is the version I am. I am Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman, and this is what I'm doing, and this is the conversation I'm having, and that is the person that you're being until that's the person that you are without thinking about it when you wake up.
I cannot tell you, Dr. Tillman, how excited I am, as she is, to have my 11-year-old daughter see the recording of this session, because I think you just said things that are incredibly important and powerful and helpful. So thank you for being such an inspiration. I have one more question.
Oh, it's already over.
I might sneak another one at the end. But many communities, particularly communities of color, carry intergenerational trauma that affects educational and economic opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It comes with the journey. How do you approach healing, resilience building, and mental wellness in your work with youth, both in the US and abroad?
I think having the conversations is always important. The uncomfortable, the untouched conversations. I had a moment a couple weeks ago where one of my friends who makes music wanted to shoot an interlude for his album. And the question was, what is love? And everybody in the room took it from different perspectives, but really it just turned into a whole Socratic seminar between like the 6 or 7 of us about the way we see the world around us. And I mean, it was all based in love and the importance of that permeating and the fear that we have of experiencing it and interacting with it. And it was such a beautiful conversation. And I think surrounding yourself with equally yoked people who are able to have the conversations about what has happened, what is happening, and what may and will happen is so important. Even if you're going to scroll and do your thing or do whatever when you're chilling, I like to watch think piece videos all day. Like there was just a video that came up on my For You page the other day that was talking about how it's interesting that as people of color, as Black people, we say, my hair grows down to here instead of saying my hair grows out to here. And how things that were put in place such a long time ago can have roots in our mind and how we need to weed the things that we understand about the world around us. Everything that we understand comes from somewhere, and understanding where that came from is important. Like knowing when you learn the ABCs for the first time, knowing when you first learned how to do addition, when you first learned PEMDAS is just as important as understanding why you are attracted to a certain kind of person, why you hang out in certain kinds of crowds, why you will subject yourself to certain situations, good or bad. And those decisions come from somewhere. It's not just like YOLO, like it is YOLO sometimes, but you're choosing YOLO for a reason still. It's important to take the time to understand, why am I making the decisions I'm making? What is my moral code? What am I doing in the world around me? And to have conversations. And it's important to, from the other side, when you're participating in those conversations, to be a real friend, to be an understanding person, that we're all learning, that we're growing. I think even with the man and woman of it all, a lot of people can get upset at the other gender of, oh, this is just what they do, or that's just what they do. And even if that is something that we see commonly in one gender more than another, what societal constructs maybe have pushed them into that place of being that person? I think there's a term that I love right now, and it's perception versus perspective. And perception is what you're going to think about the world based off of your knee-jerk thought and your lived experience and perspective or in perception. But when it comes to perspective, it's about taking what you know about other people, taking what you've seen outside of yourself, and using that to base on what you're thinking about a situation, as opposed to, well, I know this, and this, so this is how I'm going to think about the situation. Like, it can also be, well, like, I've seen this, and I've seen this here, and I've seen that there, and maybe it could be these things, or maybe it cannot. I love to say that. Anytime I'm saying anything, I'm like, well, I think it could fully be this, and this, or it could not be. It could not be. It could be something so foreign to me and a fully new topic that I'm just now learning, and I'm excited to learn about. But it's so important to have the conversations, especially intergenerationally. Me and my granny have a lunch plan next week, and we're going to sit down and we're going to have breakfast, or I'm going to have lunch, she's going to have breakfast. I don't really like breakfast foods. And we're going to talk about all of the intergenerational happenings going on. For her as a civil rights activist, it's hard to see what's happening and not feel like there's people who were the age she was when she cared. She was 16 when she was on Evans Pettus Bridge fighting for our civil rights. And it's scary for her to live in a world where she doesn't know if she's going to pass away and her family is going to be okay. And if the work that she continued on, if the work that she began is going to continue on. And I think it's important from my generation, my perspective, with the things I know and the people I surround myself with, to ensure her, no, Granny, it's going to be okay. And there are people who care, and there are people who are educating themselves, and there are people who are looking towards the future for what we can change. Like, you know, if anybody's bored and they want to go shopping, donate to a GoFundMe, donate to Congo, you know, donate. Like, that's what I do. When I get bored, because I love to shop. Like, when I get bored, I just go on the website and I donate, because that's basically, like, shopping would be a terrible term to use there, but that is feeling that feeling of, you know, like, I want to do something, I want to spend something. And it's also probably going to handle that random feeling that comes up. It's like, am I doing enough? Yeah. You just, like, made sure you gave a contribution just the other day. If you have it, give it. If you have the energy, give it. If you have the money, give it. If you have the time, give it. Is, I think, some of the most important things to remember always.
I love your focus on conversation. I think I just became a foster parent, and part of the training, which was very well done, focused significantly on trauma and learning about it, and how the impact of trauma is not only the event that is traumatizing, but the reaction of the ecosystem, right? If the community does not respond, that compounds the trauma, right? Nobody reacted. Nobody responded as they should. There was no one I could talk to. And I think we very easily underestimate the power of dialogue, of conversation, of sharing, right, what we're going through, and listening to what others are going through, and offer support, because that is the reaction that's necessary to respond to trauma. And trauma, unfortunately, it happens all around us, right? And sometimes it's inevitable. So I really appreciate that. Well, I know it's so sad, but we're getting to the beginning of our closing, Dr. Tillman. So maybe as a form of closing, I wanted to ask, because I find the title of your book so fascinating. The grass is greener where you water it. I was wondering whether you'd like to say just a few words, whatever you'd like to share about it. I know that it's in process of publication, but something that you would say to tell us about what it is about, and where to find it once it's out there.
Well, yes, it is coming out April 22nd on Earth Day, and you can find it on Amazon, on my website, all of the different links of the places you can find it on Dorothyjeanius.com, and that's Jeanius. See, it's a little play on the middle name. And the grass is greener where you water it is a term that I feel like people may have heard before. I came across it maybe in a podcast or something I was watching, and it stuck with me so deeply, because the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. That is a literal term that can be taken metaphorically so many places. I feel like it's so important to remind youth and adults that we can't focus our energy on the things that we don't want to give power to. I think that focus and worrying is equivalent to worshiping a problem. And I think that when you give worship to something, when you give the glory to something, you give such power to that thing. Maybe not in the entire world, but definitely within your world. And so I think that the grass is greener where you water it emphasizes how important it is to focus on your garden. Whatever your garden may be, it's important to water that garden and to focus on that garden so you can see flowers bloom there, as opposed to seeing terrifying deserts and tumbleweeds of horrible, evil things all made of our own imaginations. Maybe not all made of our own imaginations, maybe partially taken from the world and made grandiose by our imaginations. I think that it's so important to start it young, which is why it's a children's book, reminding kids to focus on whatever it is that they're passionate about and not what anybody is telling them to focus on, not what they don't feel good about, but the things that are good in the world and the things that they're passionate about.
Thank you for sharing that. We're so excited and we cannot wait. So two things to remember today, at least that I recommend we think about, and then I'll give you a chance, Dr. Tillman, to say any final words that you might have. But one of them is that the grass is greener where you water it, right? And to be aware of that and purposeful about it. It's easy to think otherwise, right? Whether it's greener elsewhere or whether I don't need to do anything to find greener pastures, right? And then the other one is that we should see ourselves as leaders today, not tomorrow. Our community, our world needs it right now, desperately. And we have such a wonderful example of that right before us, Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman II. We're so honored to have you. I'll let you say the final words and then we'll close.
Oh my God, this is a lot of pressure. I'm so excited. I'm getting the last word. Take care of yourselves, love yourselves. Know that no matter what you've done, you deserve things. You deserve a soft life. You deserve good things in the world. And it's important to dream and to hope and to keep those things deep within your heart, no matter who tries to take them from you ever, because grass is greener where you water it.
Thank you so much.